We're rebuilding America. We're going to invest in America and build a better America than we found. And for the better part of the 20th century, we used to lead the world by a significant margin because we invested in ourselves.
Exciting news. More and more states are in the process of approving inflation relief checks. The House and the Senate lawmakers are continuing to work together to finally reach a deal on a new stimulus payment to be sent to the people. Even people in some states have agreed to more stricter requirements in order to qualify for this relief. And now, over 2 years ago, as more businesses shuttered and unemployment rates soared, while the federal government realized that the crisis just had to send the money back into the people. What this means, folks, is that driven by a surge in oil and gas production, New Mexico is expected to rake in as much as $3.6 billion in new money for the state's upcoming budget year. That major increase might bring another round of tax rebate or even economic stimulus to the people of New Mexico. The governor has also said to be urging lawmakers to use chunks of the one-time payment and oil revenue to go to the people to go to those in need. A spokeswoman of the governor's office told reporters that the governor is looking for rebates in the ballpark of $750 to $1,500 per jointly filing couple. Yes, that means you'll be getting a stimulus of around $1,000 to the people. What this means, folks, is that this type of package could be ultimately $1 billion. $1 billion of stimulus cash, and the fine details would ultimately need to be hammered out and passed by the state, which is slated to reconvene for a 60-day session in the middle of January. And so now the governor has also signed a new relief program for the state of Minnesota. Also signed his bill into 2023. The bill is set to simplify tax filing, save money for hundreds of thousands, and also include people with student loans and companies that receive the crisis aid. It brings Minnesota's tax code into conformity with federal tax rules. It is also one of the several that legislative leaders have fast-tracked since convening last week, with Democrats now controlling the chambers of Congress. So now the tax conformity bill has sailed through the Senate, sailed through the House with unanimous support. It amounts to over a $100 million tax cut. It's retroactive, so individuals and businesses who qualify can still file amended returns for previous years, just to claim any refund. Joe Biden is now cheering on the news that a key indicator of key inflation for the first time fell in more than pretty much 2 years. Inflation falling, what that means is stimulus cash. He said this: it's clearer than ever that his policies are working, and that this morning we have good news. While consumer prices are still high than they were a year ago, the pace at which they are slowing is beginning to improve. First of all, it's down 9.1% from the summer. Inflation is now at its lowest level since October, and the overall consumer price index is 0.1 from the prior month, making the largest month-over-month decrease since April, when much of the country was in a lockdown. Now, this data is good news for Joe Biden because Biden has launched other priority positive economic indicators, like the Labor Department's report of jobs, and it found that unemployment is at its lowest level in 50 years. Kevin McCarthy also said that Republicans may look at a 2019 spending deal reached by the former president as a model for how to avert a potential debt ceiling crisis. McCarthy said he told the president during a recent conversation he'd like to sit down and talk about this, and like to sit down and talk about the nation's debt limit and about what they should do. Well, here's what they should do. Send out a fourth stimulus check. It's only necessary for everybody in the country. So I do think that President Biden knows what he's doing, and hopefully we can trust him with our fourth stimulus payments. Hopefully he can send out stimulus checks right away, because let's be honest, folks, he's taking way too long to send out the payments, way too long to give people stimulus, way too long to give the people what they need.
For mayors. It might be the hardest job in politics and the most important because you're closest to the people. So if I say nothing else, I want you to know at the Commerce Department, we love and respect mayors, and we want to work with you. We want to be super accessible to you on chips, on manufacturing, EDA, broadband. If you don't know us, get to know us because we want to help you meet the needs of people. In terms of chips, as Kate said, this is a huge opportunity. It's $50 billion. you can basically work with semiconductor manufacturing companies and their suppliers to make your city, your state, an attractive place for them to choose. Now, Mayor Gallego is the expert in this, so whatever she's done to make that happen, you really should be the one telling your colleagues. But, you know, I think all of you do a ton of work in business development. We want to work with you in partnership. There'll have to be state incentives, city incentives, federal incentives, working with workforce, working with universities to attract and recruit these big semiconductor companies. And as I said, we'll work with you in partnership.
Wonderful. One of the things that's been very important to our success is our partnerships with universities, particularly Arizona State University. We want to make sure we're a hub for innovation. How can mayors harness our nation's competitiveness, economy, and national security? How does the CHIPS and Science Act promote research and development?
Yeah, so there's, like I said, we're going to invest about $40 billion incentivizing individual companies. So the mayor and I were together about a month ago with TSMC, which is a huge semiconductor company, putting an operation in Arizona. So certain companies will receive incentives. There's another $11 billion for just research and development. And so any of you mayors who are lucky enough to have big colleges and universities in your communities, you should check this out. Because this money will go all across America. We're going to split it up into a number of different grants, and this will also be public-private partnerships. So if you have, you know, a land-grant university or really any university partner who we could invest with in connection with the private company, it's all about taking great ideas coming out of labs and colleges and universities and turning them into products that we can make here in America.
Now, failing to include a SALT break expansion in the long-stalled legislation is a risky portion for the Democrats, whose slim control of both chambers leaves little room for defections. Democrats representing high-tax districts have already pledged to withhold support for a tax increase bill that doesn't address SALT. Manchin and Schumer have yet to release a comprehensive plan with the specifics about new spending on climate and health, offset by tax increases and prescription savings. Schumer has said he wants to pass the bill this summer. Raising the $10,000 SALT cap has been a key priority for Senator Bob Menendez, a New Jersey Democrat, as well as several House members. Democrats cannot lose any votes in the Senate. Manchin and Schumer have been engaged in exclusive talks with many representatives. And this SALT deduction is politically difficult for many Democrats, and some progressives dislike making SALT more generous because the vast majority of the benefits go to high-income earners. I have some bad news, everybody, from lawmakers in Congress on President Biden's stimulus checks. Joe Manchin has revealed the new changes that he wants to be made to the legislation before it's signed to law. Manchin told reporters he's not sure if he can agree to anything beyond the prescription reform component of the bill, which has already been sent to the Senate Parliamentarian Office and is the